same when there's been an international break? Have they all come back? Are they about to come back? And what's the state of them all?
Yeah, we're pleased that all our international players have returned well, in good health. The only one we've not had return is Dumbia, so he'll be back with us tomorrow. Pleased to see him get a start for his senior nation as well, which is pleasing for us as a club, and it's good to see our young players doing well on the international stage. Yeah, as opposed to sort of my first international break last year, where pre-Leeds, I think it was a time for me to have 10 days with the players, and that was really important to me. This time, the most important thing was that, first of all, they got a few days rest, because it's been a long pre-season, it's been a long block of work to get to this point. And yeah, it's by no means the switch off button was pressed, but they needed a bit of a reset, and that was done. And then some good time with the new players, especially over the last few days. But no, everyone's returned well from their international teams.
Because we've got to remember that quite a few joined right towards the end of that transfer window, so they still need a bit of settling in time. Yeah,
so they had a little bit more training than the others, just because it's important for them to understand how we play as a team. That's been good. Those sort of messages are becoming more clear and consistent, and those new players will understand what I'm expecting from them, and I enjoy that part of it.
So as far as injuries are concerned, you don't think there's too many who went away and none here either?
No.
Fresh ones.
Quadro Bar will be a doubt for the game. Genuine, 50-50. And Imran Losers very close, and Jeremy Ngakia remains medium term.
Of the ones who joined quite late on, obviously Jefferson and Ebesele were in the squad. The other two, Kevin and Ogbonna, what are their chances of being in the squad? Yeah, so
Kevin has got a knee issue. I should have included him in the medium term sort of bracket. Ogbonna is getting closer and closer. He's looking good in the training. He can tell he's a player who's played at a high level. This week could come a bit early for him, but next week's certainly available. Who were the other two you mentioned? Sorry.
The two that were in the squad last.
Oh yeah, and then they're pushing for starts. Yeah, pushing for starts.
With Ogbonna, is that just match sharpness more than anything?
Yeah, it's always difficult. Nothing to do with his age, but it's difficult when you're a player who's not done the pre-season that the other players have, playing catch up. So that can take 3 or 4 weeks, sometimes 5 weeks. So this week has been his best week's training in every session, the large spaces, and I expect him to be available for selection against Norwich.
I mean, right, it's been a settled side since the beginning of the season, which I assume you, like most coaches like that, and those ones are going to have to battle to get in.
Yeah, but we've got a fantastic team spirit. You know, the lads who are not playing are helping get the best out of the ones who are, as well as having massive impacts from the bench. And yeah, those starting positions are not set in stone. It's whoever deserves to play through training, through match performances, through consistency. But we're coming into a part of the season now where rotation will be key.
In that kind of transition where players are coming back from international duty and others have remained, is that sometimes difficult to kind of structure and fit in? You've obviously witnessed it and had experience of it for a long time.
Yeah, you've got to sort of be wary of not playing too many players that have travelled halfway across the world, but I don't think we have that too much of an issue with that at the minute. Giorgi probably had the most match minutes, but he's in a good moment. So yeah, that shouldn't affect us too much.
You nominated for Manager of the Month, which is obviously a nice thing for you, and deservedly so. Are you proud of that?
Yeah, very proud, but by no means does it mean anything at this stage. Well, it's nice to get recognition for me, my staff, and the players on a solid start. And yeah, I suppose the more of those we're nominated for, it means that we're going in the right direction. But for me, it doesn't mean a great deal, but I'm appreciative of it.
We've spoken about the changes and the fact that it feels much more like a team. You'll remember Chris Wilder talking about the reset that the club needed, whenever it was 18 months ago. Do you think that is now happened and finished?
No, I don't think we can count our chickens just yet. It's 4 games, 4 league games. It is a good start, but we we can't get complacent when it comes to that. You know, it's hard work on a daily basis to make sure that we keep the team spirit, to keep the healthy environment, and to keep the strong performances. And that's not judged over 4 games. That's judged over 6-7 months.
So is the message momentum? We need to just carry on this kind of upwards curve, if you like.
Definitely, yeah. And yeah, same goes for me as an individual. I'm only 15 games into a coaching career. I can't say I'm established at all. So I think if after 6-7 months we're in this good moment and we're resilient to setbacks, and I think we've followed all 3 of my defeats up with a positive performance. My previous 2 defeats with positive performances, and that's what I'll be expecting again on Saturday.
I'm sure you spoke to Chris afterwards, and not wishing to get into the private conversation, but did he say what he thought about Watford or any feelings about how you performed?
Yeah, I mean, I think we weren't anywhere near our best that day, and it was their best performance of the season, and we still managed to push them all the way. I think we know where we went wrong, and it's my job to put that right. But I think we can take the small positive we can take from that day is we were average by our standards, and we were playing a relegated team who were close to their best, and it was still a tight affair. And that, what pleased me most about that is the character of the players. You know, we've conceded at a terrible time, and in seasons gone by that could have been a lot worse, and the players are fighting for me. I can see that.
Coventry started quite slowly when I think most thought that they would do well this season. They still can, obviously. But what do you expect from them? Because it feels like they should do well this season.
Yeah, they've got quality. You know, it's a team that can hurt you, especially in possession. Hadji Wright is a player I really like. They've had a lot of continuity, with the manager, which helps in this division, I think. And yeah, they're a team that can on their day beat anyone. But I think we go under that bracket as well.
Yeah, Mark Robbins is an established coach and highly thought of, and another obviously ex-Man United boy.
Yeah, he's someone I really respect, and watching his teams over the last 2 or 3 years, I like how calm he is on the sideline. He really portrays that calmness to his players. He wants to play the right way, and they're a team that I massively respect, and a staff that I really respect.
What's Bar done?
It is touch and go. It's a small muscular soreness, tightness, whatever you want to call it. It's not a muscular damage, but it's something that, given his physical profile and his history, we've got to be wary of, and we've got to take notice of. But I'm being genuine when I say it's 50-50.
Last 2 games, we've had those bad starts, which sort of plagued us through a lot of last season. Have you had time to look at what went wrong in the first 5 minutes of those games?
Yeah, we have, yeah. We've addressed that quite clearly, especially from the Sheffield United game. And I expect to see a reaction from that.
Is it a mindset thing, or?
Could possibly say that for the game at Sheffield United, yeah. But for me, it's something that's quite an easy fix, and I'm expecting to see that on Saturday.
I know the break is good, but is it difficult when you've had a batch of 5 games and then you have basically 2 weeks off to then pick it up again and have another 5 games? Because we've got this very staccato start with 3 international breaks.
Yeah, but it's how I've lived the last 16 years of my life. Is you have a very staggered start to the season, and then winter is relentless, and then 2 at the back end. So it's nothing new for me and the players. I actually thought, after returning on the 17th of June for an early pre-season, earlier than many of the players have ever had, we did a big block of work up to the 1st of September, and the players deserved a bit of rest, and I think it came at the right time.
In that international break, I know as a footballer you're used to being physically tired. Do you think as well this is the first time you've been mentally stretched? And I'm not saying that you don't think when you're playing football, but it's a different challenge as a coach, the summer and the opening few weeks it is to a player.
Yeah, I think it's a good bit of insight we as coaches can give, is that, it's funny that the break came on the 1st of September and the closure of the transfer window, because, you give a lot you give it almost everything, and you're on the go from 1st of June when we start planning pre-season seriously to 1st of September when that first international break comes. It's 3 months without a breather, so it's good for us as staff. But we've pressed the reset button, we're refreshed, and we're ready to attack the next block of games. That's for sure.
2 home wins is vastly different to last season, but I'm assuming that you'd want a good block of home performances before you think that you've put last season's problems behind you.
Yeah, exactly. I did say to the players before the last 2, before the break, you win these 2, so it was Plymouth in the Cup, it was Derby in the league, I think, and you start building a reputation. So I think I'm not sure how many it is, but we're unbeaten since I've been here at home, winning more than we've drawn of those unbeaten games, and you slowly change the narrative from being vulnerable, not lacking confidence at home, lacking atmosphere, to hold on a minute, this is a hard place to go, and that is something we don't take for granted. The start that you alluded to, it has to be key, but now I think we're starting to get a reputation the other way, and it's important we make that a bit of a snowball.
Just give us a bit of insight, because do other teams and other teams' players look at teams, it's maybe a Watford and think, well, last season they easily picked them off at home. Are they going to have noticed these 2 or 3 wins and come at it in a different way?
Yeah, I'd expect so. Yeah, I'd expect they'd see the success we're having at home at the minute, and the football we're playing, and pays respect. But that's our challenge now. That teams could come and sit back like Derby did, and it's where I want to be. I want to be a superior force at home. I want to be feared at home, and we need players to be the catalyst for that, and then fans will have been brilliant and got on board with it and created an atmosphere, and I know better than anyone that the last time we were promoted we won 19 out of 23, and it's key to your success.
Was that something you learned at United as well? Because I'm guessing there was an expectation you'd win every home game at Manchester United.
Maybe so. I've not thought about it where it stemmed from, but I know the importance of it. Listen, I said you can look at every data point, every sort of tactic, every system, but if you've got a solid defence and good home form, you're on the way to success.
I just want to ask you about Rayovic, who had no chance to talk to you. When the chance for loan came up, was it him pushing to go and get game time, or the club suggesting you should go and get game time?
That was a 2-way street. He's someone that I feel is too good to be sort of 3rd choice in the pecking order, and where does that leave him for match minutes? He's a great guy, so I wanted to sort of do what's best for his career. That sits well with me as a coach. We've got Mamadou Doumbia, who can fill that 3rd choice, and I think that's a good project we want to develop. But what I would say is it's by no means an exit for Mile, and I spoke to him about that. I see a future for him here. I hope he develops as a player. We know what qualities Mile can bring, and he brings the quality of doing what he's paid for. Now, there's other parts of his game he can develop, and I hope he does that and comes back a better player, but it's certainly not an exit strategy for me.
Is there any risk in losing the goals he scores? Because we haven't got another goal scorer like that at the moment.
Yeah, I do, yeah, and we added Daniel Jebison to be that person, so Bayo is, again, we know what Bayo brings to the team, and we can't undervalue what he brings to the team. He needs to improve his goal-scoring record, and it's my job to improve that. But we've also added Daniel Jebison, who I think gives us something we haven't got as a team, real sort of running power, pace, and he's a very good finisher. So there's risk, obviously, losing Milletta, but it's someone who we think we've replaced well with Jebison.
From what you said there as well, you'd be happy to have Doumbia on the bench if one or two of the others were out for a game or so, and you're not worried about having a young player like that on the bench.
Yeah, he's an exciting player, and it's our sort of strategy as a club. We want to develop these young players. He's 18 years old, and he's starting for his international team, and we're continuing to try and develop him. And you don't want sort of. It's my idea to have 3 number 9s in our system. I never wanted 4. I think you create more unhappiness than you do more problems than solutions having four with our system, and Mamadou's perfect in that number 3 role where he's learning, developing, but also being able to give us something.
With the midfielder gap that we potentially have, would you look at the free agent market, or are you going to go with what you've got until January?
Without having too many conversations with the board about that it looks like we'll go what we've got. Imran Luz is very close.
The decisions like Rajovic, these are big decisions for a club like Watford, and they're sort of the first big decisions you've had to make as a head coach as well. How are you finding that? Because suddenly all the focus is on you.
Yeah, I mean, that is, yeah, it comes with some pressure, that decision. It's I've stuck my neck out and we've collaborated and we came to that decision that it was best for the team. Now that if that doesn't work, then it falls on my feet and I have to shoulder that as the head coach. But my job is to develop all the players I've got and help us win. And if I don't, whether it's because I've let it go or because of another reason, then the accountability lands at my feet.